Case of the Mondays. Case of the Mondays. Case of the case of the case of the Mondays. Case of the Mondays. Case of the Mondays. His name's Case and it's Monday, so you're about to listen to Case of the Mondays.
Welcome, buddy.
Thank
Happy
you.
to have you. Yeah. This is
Did we
great.
start already?
Yeah, we're starting right now.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
I know, we just did that.
I hate that shit so much.
You go, oh, what is this? An organic start? Let's do it.
No, it was the look in your eye when you go, hey, happy to have you. I was like, oh, that son of a bitch just hit record.
How are you, man? Guys, welcome Alexis Guerreros to the podcast. Hey, very funny podcast himself.
That's
the
right.
Cooligans,
It's called The Cooligans.
Very cool. Where can people find that?
Anywhere podcasts are, whatever, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, at Soccer Cooligans on Twitter, on Instagram, at your mother's house, everywhere.
Your mom's house, bro.
We all up in that. Old lady.
Does
she like
your mom, bro?
She's totally cool with it, by the way. It's consensual.
She's really into
You gotta have a talk with your mom, dude.
Yeah, your mom's really into
Yeah.
having these Cooligans inside.
Yeah.
Inside her house, man.
Yeah.
What's
Oh,
going
boy.
on there? Buddy, we didn't talk about this, but we had a great time.
You literally
over
just
the-
walked into your own apartment and
It's
you hit
true.
record.
That's true.
You're sweating below the nose above
It's
your lips.
so hot outside. First of all, it's incredibly hot outside.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone knows this. It's not actually hot outside. It's a very, very nice day.
It is a nice day, but it is hot. It's hot compared to what it's been lately. So right now is the weather we're going to wish for when it hits like 106.
Also, I was talking to family,
Oh,
so
yeah.
sweating.
A lot of sweating. What are
Yeah,
you doing?
yeah.
How's that comedy thing going?
Hey,
Ugh.
how's life?
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, you get married.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many homes do you own?
Exactly.
Your cousin
yeah.
has two.
Yeah, right. No, your cousin just bought into dividends. They just got dividends from his stock trading.
Oh, you mean division?
Oh.
Good. I know what that is.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's funny. Like, I was just thinking, like, you live in a city, and like you're on the train on the way over or whatever, you know, and you get caught up. By the time you die, the amount of time you've actually spent with people that you care about is probably less than other places.
That's
You know what
quite
I mean?
quite morbid. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like by the time you're dead, you're like somebody in the country versus like somebody in the city. You're like, yeah, you spend like 35 years with your family, and then you probably got like whatever it is, like 6,000 hours with them or whatever it is, right?
Are you saying that's a good thing or a bad thing? Like you want to spend
I'm not
less time with your
judging it. I'm
family?
not judging it at all. I'm
You're
just saying. I'm
just saying there's a difference at the end of the
right at the end of the time. They're like, well, you only 50,000, whatever it is. Let's say 50,000 hours you spent with your family in the country, and then out in the city, you're like, yeah, it was actually only 20,000 hours, and you're like, yeah, man, L train wasn't running. What can I tell you?
Yeah, sorry, buddy. I tried to get here.
Yeah,
You know?
I tried my best. This is the best I could do. I was like, I wanted to spend more time with you. Yeah, I think about that too because I'm like,
A maniac.
I was just like thinking, if you meet somebody, you care about them, you're a married man.
Married man. It would be
Yeah.
13 years this year.
Yeah, but is it 13 years in the country? Country time or city time?
I'm going to say this probably multiple times, but what the fuck are you talking about, Kase?
Because you're just not able to see people as much. You have so many obstacles in your way when you live in a city to get to the place that you're trying to get to. You know what I mean? You're always commuting, going through the subway. There's people in front of you. You get delayed.
I don't think that's true. If you live in the country, you're 20 minutes? Yeah, there's nobody in front of you, but you got all that land between you and your closest neighbor. So you don't see nobody.
Regardless
You
where
see
are.
way more people here. Maybe you don't see your own family, but that's why you moved to New York, is to get away from your disgusting family. They're very judgmental. They voted for Trump. They don't like what you do for a living. You're a creative. They don't understand it.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been doing stand-up for 10 years, and your Cuban mother keeps telling people you're still looking for work.
Keep
You know what I mean?
Let it out.
I got it all out.
I feel like you're.
I don't need therapy, I
I
swear.
You're not into the anti-city aspect of this. Yeah.
No, to me
You're
it's
very
like
anti-country.
you know what? I think it's a great break. Like when I went to Ireland, I landed on the West Coast and we hung around the West Coast for a little bit, and there's just nobody out there. There's just nothing.
nice.
Dude, 7 days I didn't see a cop till I went to Dublin. No cops, no nothing. It was
Really?
beautiful. Oh my God.
Just
None but sheep and rocks.
people, a couple people.
Oh yeah, there's people. No, it was
Little
great
whiskey?
drinks. Oh my God, it was incredible. I went to this like 450-year-old hardware store that's also like has an old tavern in it. Like,
that's crazy.
Where you buy stuff, they also will serve you drinks, and you could just sit at the counter. It's the most ridiculous place you've ever been.
Is that everything in Ireland? You go in, you're like, this is a doctor's office. But
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the dentist's office. Can I get you a Guinness?
Yeah, I feel like everywhere. Every time I see people go, obviously they go to the Jameson and the Guinness brewery.
That's in Dublin. Yeah.
In Dublin. Yeah. Did you go to that?
Yeah, I did. I went to both of them, and I got trashed at the Jameson.
Is that just full on during the day drunk in Ireland?
I was plastered before a big. So I'm a big Arsenal fan, and the Irish, the Dublin Arsenal fan base, like invited me over there, and they were going to give me like a gift for being there because like I'm a big Arsenal fan here,
Yeah.
and they gave me like an autographed book from one of the world's famous players. They all took photos with me. I was sloshed. I don't remember meeting any of them. All I know is I opened up my luggage, and I'm like, who put a book in here? Who put an autographed book?
You got back. You're like, I don't even know what this is. Whose pants are these?
Yeah, I know.
Whose clothes are these?
Yeah, that's not my dog. I don't even have a dog.
All right, I got a dog.
I stole an Irish dog.
I stole an Irishman's dog. You come to this dentist's office. You also got a dog in the back.
Yeah.
A dog.
Would you like a pint of Guinness? And how about a free dog? I can't do an Irish accent, if you can tell.
I like Irish people, man. They're nice.
Imagine you said the opposite.
I hate
You know what?
Irish
I don't
people.
like Irish people.
They get on my nerves. No.
Yeah.
I used to go to this bar in the city that was all Irish owned and operated.
I can't believe there's one of those exists.
Yeah. And they would hang out in the basement and play cards and get like hammered at like I want to say like 1 a.m. to like 7 a.m.
When I was in high school, we had one Irish teacher. She was like, remember Gabrielle Reese, the volleyball player?
Yeah.
Looked exactly like her, but with like just huge cans, right?
Okay.
So everybody was in love with this teacher, right? Like we were all just like Latino dudes, and all of a sudden there's just like this like pure white woman walking through, and to us that's Nicki Minaj walking through Ireland.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
sure,
We're just like, whoa, she's
Wow,
exotic.
Yeah. Very
Look how
different.
small her lips are, and damn, yeah, we're like, whoa, titties. She went leaps and bounds trying to explain that the idea of Irish people being drunk is a myth. So she did this whole like
How old are you this time?
St. Patrick's Day. This is high school, like sophomore. And she would be like, all right, like we're going to do a call and repeat kind of thing. Like, because I need to prove to you guys.
So this grown woman, an adult person,
is trying
walked into a children's classroom.
Like a high school, just trying to give us enough information to suggest we should stop saying Irish people are drunk all the
So
time.
she like, what is that, Michelle Pfeiffer,
like
like
a-
Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds.
Yeah, Beautiful Minds.
And it was beautiful
yeah,
also.
yeah.
And so she dangerous mind you, but like,
And this teacher also dropped her southern accent midway through the conversation.
That's wild.
Just like Michelle Pfeiffer.
wow. So
Yeah.
she just came in and she goes, yeah, there's Irish people aren't drunks, man. We got to stop this.
But she like
stereotype."
explained like pubs are like the only buildings in these small towns. She gave us this whole rigmarole about how no, it's just families will go to the pub and pub happens to serve alcohol.
Was this a history or language
This was
class?
I'm pretty sure she was English was the teacher, but she did this whole thing, and then I go to Ireland. She was wrong. We were right.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of day drinking going on in that country.
People are having a good time.
Yeah, it is a blast.
Yeah. There's a
And maybe
reason
we're
they
wrong by
closed at
saying
1.
maybe we're wrong by saying they're drunk all the time, but they're certainly quite nicely buzzed for most of the day.
Are
Yeah.
there places there close at like
Yeah, their bars close sometimes like 11:30,
because people
12.
have been drinking the whole.
Because they've been there since
Isn't
3.
that nice?
Yeah.
And they go, all right, yeah. Well, we close at the time you should go to sleep at. So it's like, all right, this is when the drinking can happen until we'll
Right.
all do it, and then we'll all go to work.
Yeah, this idea of like, bars stay open later in New York. Yeah, but we started drinking at 11.
Right.
You know what I
And then
mean?
you have to-
We're not
some people have to get
heathens.
Up at like 8.
Yeah, we don't
don't have a
drink
job.
before we pick up our kids from school.
Right.
Good time to say that we don't have kids.
We don't have kids.
Okay. But still is what I'm saying. Like we're not, these guys are like, I would walk in at like noon and there'd be a pregnant woman drinking and like,
Really?
she's allowed to have 1 pint. That's how they would feel about it.
My mom drank when she had my sister. I like to remind her about that as often as possible. I go, hey, I'll ask her something and she'll try and do like math. And
Yeah.
then, I'll be like, mom had beer while you were. While she was pregnant with you.
Just a little sit.
Anytime she tries to do any math, I'm like, mom had beer while she had you.
I can tell you why this is taking longer than usual. It's because mom was hitting the booze.
Mom, she was pretty drunk the entire time. She was actually hammered while you were pregnant with her.
And as soon as she saw you when you came out, try to get drunk again. That wasn't a good sign.
Mom's getting. You think that just like a normal thing though? You see a pregnant lady in Ireland like drinking, like that's probably like a cultural thing. Right?
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Maybe it'll be stronger, like the olive oil in the stomach in Italy.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I don't. The bars weren't filled with pregnant women drinking, but the way I reacted
Not
to
the
them,
ones you went to.
That's a good point. Theme bars, baby. You like prego porn?
How fun would that be?
Come watching them drunk. I will say,
bars pregnant and drinking. Yeah.
the way I reacted to a pregnant woman being in a bar was very out of place in Ireland.
Oh, really?
I'll say that. I was like, yo, what the fuck? And the bartender was like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, she's pregnant, like showing, like clearly pregnant.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, she's having one. You need to relax. You Americans need to relax. I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like we could relax, but this seems like one of those things that we're probably right on, you know?
Yeah. I don't know how many beers you're supposed to have when you're pregnant, but the answer feels like 0.
Yeah. I would say the answer is as close to 0 as it gets.
Not a doctor or a scientist.
Yeah.
But I feel
We
like,
have no expertise in this, but I feel like I would put all of my life savings saying the more you drink, the worse it is for the baby. So
it
0
seems
is
like
probably
really
where to
so,
go.
Like
Yeah.
smoking, you're like she's only having one. You're like,
Oh, dude, I went to
that's
Costa Rica when I was like 13 years old, right? And so my mom works in a hospital. It was the doctor's like mansion, and he came here to like learn what people are doing up here, like Americans. And my mother like secured him some tubes and stuff to bring down there because they were really hard to come by. And to thank us, he invited us to stay like in his villa. Legit
wow.
had like 3 houses on a mountain.
Wow.
And maids, people helping.
That's a fun. That's
It
a
was,
fun amount
dude,
of
like,
money.
dude, I had my own room. Like, you know, when you're a kid and you go on vacation, you have your own. It was like a massive room.
Yeah.
It looked like a king's lair, right? And I woke up full blown erection, right?
Okay.
As you do.
That's not the direction I thought the story was going to take.
Well, wait to hear this.
Yeah.
So this pregnant woman's getting drunk, right?
Uh-huh.
And I got an erection. No. So
What a skip. All
but
right.
here's how I'm on my back, right?
Yeah.
And it's very warm, so I just have the one top sheet on, you know? And
You got like a tent thing.
there's
happening?
and one of the maids is in there cleaning, and I'm like, oh no. And she's like, no, I'm sorry. And like, she would have gotten in trouble had
comes
I said
over,
anything.
jerks you
No,
off. She goes,
that
"I
didn't
apologize."
happen. This is what we do here.
Sorry.
No, she was like, no, it was her fault for being in the room, not my fault for like, you know,
Really?
just showing, you
Yeah.
know, slanging dong out here.
Slanging dong out here. Come on, I'm
just
waking apart.
showing
What am I
everybody what
doing?
your boys got.
Hey,
you know what I
I
mean?
got-
It wasn't a lot.
We're going to the
It was a small tent, let's just say, but whatever. You know, why the fuck your whole family need to be under that thing? You know,
size 20. What's the issue?
I mean, what's the problem? 13. Stop judging my dick. You know?
It's no
What are you, R.
big
Kelly?
deal.
All right, get out of here. So, which we'll go. But anyway, the reason I said it is when I go down there, as soon as we
You're on a
land,
mountain, yeah.
as soon as we land, they pick us up in like the, you know, like this like Humvee kind of thing. And I'm like, yo, are we going to a drug dealer's house? Like, this is amazing.
And they're smiling
Yeah.
at you.
It's just like, baby, you show me that dong. And so like we're passing like these favelas, like these like shanty towns. And we're like, no, we're at the top of the mountain. I'm like, yo, am I going to have to sleep in a mud hut? Right. And I get there and it's just this beautiful estate with like a bunch of people grabbing our bags and stuff. And when I get there, the wife is sitting there, cigarette, glass of wine, 9 months pregnant. And she's like, hola,
Wow.
welcome to Costa Rica. And I was like, is that a tumor? You know?
Yeah.
And I said to my mom's like, you shut up. That's their culture. I'm like, is their
Really?
culture just not giving a fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was crazy.
I wonder if the kid actually comes out better.
Probably not.
Probably not.
If you do, you send them to the country
But
to go
like-
back to your earlier statement.
All right.
So less people
follow-
could see this,
Yeah.
you know, mongoloid child that you've created.
I love you say Mongoloid child. No, because all right, so let's real
Don't
quick,
make that the clip.
If you guys don't know, Mongoloid child will be the clip.
Please
Real
don't.
quick, like Darwin, right? Like evolution, you have people doing things.
Is this whole podcast just you saying your loosely researched theories?
Very loosely researched topic. So don't you think if you keep doing that, somewhere along the line there'll be a kid that's like stronger because of it, or it'll grow up with like a gene that you're like, all right, well, my mom drank and she's cool or something. Isn't that how biology works? Like you keep doing something fucked up, and then people go, all right, well, that guy kept dying from the sun, so we just started making darker people or whatever.
Okay, no.
These are very loosely researched. I have no idea what's going on.
I don't think you have any idea.
No.
This is how the alt-right started. I think it's people speaking this way. No, I don't think that happens. I think if everyone smoked during pregnancy, some children would be affected, some wouldn't. I think the reason you don't allow it is because that would. There's no way for you to tell until it's already too late.
It's like those people that.
And in Costa Rica, you just make them like a child soldier. You know what I mean? They don't need to have a family.
They
It's
don't
like
need a
Sparta.
You throw them a gun.
Guys, I know that's not how it works in Costa Rica.
They go, "This is Rica."
Yeah.
And they just shoot somebody in the head.
Costa. Oh, Costa Rica. Yeah. The weirdest child soldiers north of Havana, south of Havana.
Costa
Rica.
We will kill you. Before
Raping and pillaging was always in fashion down in Costa.
That'd be great, man. You just grow up there like, yeah, my mom smoked and drank. Yours didn't. Loser.
Yeah. That's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah.
People are like, whoa, you grew up with money?
You
Nerd.
know why I thought all that stuff is like, they say that in like Burma, when kids, there's more sociopaths in like war-torn countries because there's a gene that like makes you a sociopath. And if you witness something violent before a certain age, that turns on that gene, right? Mm-hmm. So in places, they were using Burma as an example in the article. And they were like, well, these kids witness all this violence. So more of them become sociopaths as they get older. Now, as they get older, because it's a war-torn place, the sociopaths are better at surviving.
Right.
So because they're surviving, then they're better at meeting a woman because they're just by just the fact of being alive. And then they have children, and then those are the children with the gene. So what happens is, as a place has war for more and more generations, you have more and more people being born that are just like
able to cope with that.
Able to cope with that,
Yeah,
but
because
in like
they're
not
maniacs.
a good way. It's not like healthy to be like, "Yep, I don't know what feelings are. You're a backpack." Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see a person, you go, "What is that? A doorknob?" That's
I should shoot it. Yeah, yeah.
It'd be funny if I kept turning it.
Yeah.
360
I think
degrees until its head popped off.
I think it's the same way. Like when I was young, I used to say like, "Yo, it's so dope that I'm able to survive a place like Newark." You know what I mean? And like I'm tougher because I'm able to cope with it. And then as you get older, you realize like, "Oh, I'm emotionally stunted."
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm not able to cope so much as I've created this defense mechanism around me that allows me to not have feelings.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We've talked this before. Or like in general, like you see somebody that grew up different than you, and you go, "Wow, no one's making fun of you right now," and you go, "Okay, I guess that's just gonna be, fine for you to do." Like like we grew up like, for example, like people were a lot more inclined to like saying mean things to kids or being like, "Shut the fuck up," and now they're like, we don't want to like damage your self-esteem, that kind of thing. And then you're just like, wow,
I think that's going
to
look, I'm all for anti-bullying and stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to sound like I'm not. I have to say that.
Well,
But
you're
you're probably just going to cut this part out. But
No, every kid that like witnessed bullying is just like, I mean, how would you not have bullying? How are you going to get through life if you don't have kids having to like figure out how to deal with dicks?
So here's the thing, right? Like, all right, are we creating a softer society, or is this creating an easier society for people to be in?
Right.
I think the mistake of our generation is to say like, well, if you don't experience bullying, you're never going to handle the real world. But if you get rid of bullying, does that not alleviate that in the quote unquote real world after school? Those people that bully don't feel sort of a benefit from it, so they don't act that way. I don't know that that's the case, but I mean, there is something there, right? So for me, it's like, yo, I don't know that, these kids being hazed to the point of wanting to commit suicide. That's fucked up.
That's
what I mean?
fucked up.
It's fucked up. But getting made fun of, yo, you got to get roasted a little bit. Like if you wear some fucked up shirt,
right,
you should have friends that will decimate you the moment you show up, to the point where you never buy a shirt like that ever again.
I honestly feel like every person I've ever met that's a douche has just never been made fun of.
Like these people who are wearing these stupid, funky Balenciaga shoes. They never got made fun of.
I have no idea what those are. But
I'm going to pull them up because they are. Are you hiding your feet? No. Okay. He's wearing Vans. I saw him moving his feet over there. I mean, these are the things.
Shoes.
These are the things that should be laughed out of existence. But we're at the point now where we can't say everyone's got to be like positive for everything.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like,
that's a great.
Oh, dude, you have your own style. No, it should be like, yo, you should be embarrassed to step out of the house like that.
I don't mind it, but I just feel like when I get into this type of thinking, oh wow,
guess how much that cost?
They pay you to wear them.
Still not enough.
Wow, that's $900. $900. It looks like a Skechers.
Yeah, that's the style.
This is a popular shoe.
That is wildly popular.
This is the Barney's website I'm seeing this on. I can't believe this.
By the way, I don't know if you want to show it to the camera. These are hideous, okay?
They're absolutely hideous.
People are on the subway in these things. Bro, you got $900 for shoes.
Do you remember that app they sold for a little while that was just like, I'm rich?
Yeah, it was just a glowing diamond. $1,000 for an app.
Yep, just to prove that you can spend $1,000 for an app. That's I feel like what those shoes are. It's like, why would you want a $900 pair of sneakers, and they're disgusting looking.
They are hideous, but now it's like that's what's cool.
And then people go, hey man, no one makes fun of anybody, so it gets everyone suffers.
Yeah,
everyone's eyes suffer, fashion suffers, the world suffers. But at the same time, you go, all right, well then, like you said, you get older. And then that bullying doesn't exist. Then you have that kid that like somebody does something bullying-esque, and then they've never been bullied, so they have this confidence to be like, actually, you shouldn't speak to him like that, Jerry, or whatever it is, like at a job.
Like I remember I was making fun of a friend. Remember that thing that was on MTV? I want to be a VJ.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like
Jesse was on there.
Yeah, so he's the one who won, I think, right? He was like the crazy one with the long hair.
Dave Holmes was on there too.
Okay. All right, maybe you remember this a little better than I do. Yeah, okay.
He was on all the shows.
So so I remember we were kids, right? And that was on. It was huge. It was like everybody was talking about it, right? Because it was like weeks of this competition.
Yeah.
And nobody knew how you became an MTV VJ.
One
all
guy
of a
was
sudden,
like a full-on heroin addict.
Yeah, which is I think the guy who won.
Yeah.
And I think turns out.
Yeah, I think he was. I mean, he was legit like 90
That's who
pounds,
you vote for.
6'5", 90 pounds.
That's who you vote for.
You should introduce me.
Yeah. Like this is what we realize people do when they get the chance to vote. They burn things to the ground. Yep. Elections, MTV, everything.
You give people
like, wouldn't this be funny? Yeah.
We should get the power more in the people's
hands.
Hands.
No, that's a mistake.
It's gone very poorly every
Career politicians for the rest of my life. That's all I want. I want people on the take.
How about the King of America? That might
we might be here. But anyway, so the next day at school, we see a kid, right? And it was one of these kids that like kind of hung out with us, but wasn't really. I didn't realize the teacher was behind me. So I said, yo, congrats. I heard your mother won on MTV last night. He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, the competition, Who Wants to Give a BJ? And it popped. I mean, it destroyed. I mean, rolled people laughing out of their chairs.
And he said, what do you mean? He really set himself up for the slam too.
He was just, I mean, literally put the ball on a tee for me.
Yeah.
I want to give a BJ. Why would there be a competition? Just do it if you want to. Yeah. The whole nine. It was, I mean, for high school or whatever it was, grammar school, elementary school, destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this was the beginning of my comedy career right at that moment.
Who
Next thing you
wants
know,
to give a BJ starring your mom?
Yeah, it was perfect joke.
Yeah.
No fat on it, except the mom for sure. And it hit so hard. The teacher was laughing while giving me detention. You know what I mean? Right. Like right at that moment. And I got in trouble with detention. I was like, yo, you can't, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you laughed.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
You're setting a horrible example for me.
Yeah. Like
By laughing and sending me to detention at the same time, you're like, yeah, just keep doing it. I enjoyed it.
But that was good. Just not in front of the other kids.
I have to send you to detention, but obviously ruin your life.
Yeah. So to me, it's like I learned a lesson in that moment, which is like, yo, funny is funny. Like, it doesn't matter if you're shitting on somebody or not. As long as you're not like, the people who are mean, like the people walk by someone and punch them every day. That's fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Like you roast somebody.
It's very light.
Oh, you say his mom wants to win. Give a BJ.
I mean, it's
hilarious.
It's clearly just a joke.
Yeah.
If you do it every day for like,
If his nickname becomes like BJ Mom or some shit like that, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up.
You scrape it on the walls and shit.
It hurts to imagine somebody's nickname is BJ Mom.
Oh my God.
That is rough.
Yeah. You also got to own it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my other thing.
How do you own that?
When I was a kid, I was like,
BJ Mom?
Yo, my mom wants to give all the BJs.
Oh my God.
There's no way you own that.
Yo, you're already angry.
Yeah.
Yo, your mom gives BJs.
No,
dude.
You can't even get a blowjob.
You can't.
You can't get a blowjob.
No, my mom's pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you say to the girl?
The girl looks up. It's like, am I better than your mother? That just ruins everything.
Oh no.
That ruins it all.
It ruins the whole thing.
It ruined my day just thinking about it.
There was a kid. You said own it, and I just wonder sometimes. So I go, I went to high school with this kid, or not? It was middle school. His nickname was Coffee Stain. He had a birthmark. People just call him Coffee Stain. It was so ridiculously mean and hilarious at the same time.
That is fucked up on every level.
I know. And my friend John fought him. It was crazy. Anyway, I've had some fucked up jobs. And have you ever messed up at a job that you've been working on? That's something we talk about on this show.
Segue. It's beautiful.
Zero.
Did I ever mess up on a job? Yeah, the first job I ever had, I was 12 years old. I worked in a factory. And I don't know how to work in a factory. I lied and said I was 16. They knew. They were like, "What's your social security number?" I was like 7, and they're like, "All right, good enough.
You're good.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Get in the factory,
Most
kid."
of the people here don't have them anyway. Good in there.
Take a photo of your hands because you're gonna miss a few fingers after this. Got fired on the second day because I fell asleep on the pallets. Wow. But I was like, "Yo, nobody's here. I could take a nap." Turns out somebody saw.
Yeah.
And I went home, and my family was like, "What the fuck you mean you got a job? Blah blah blah. Like, you're not old enough to work." And my mother, like, we were poor, so she was like, "I get it, but like, yo, you should be studying, not working." But I'm like, "Yo, I want good clothes and stuff."
Like, I got pallets, Ma.
Yeah, but then she got mad at me for getting fired, so I got in trouble for getting fired, not for
something that you didn't.
Yeah, she's like, "You're insulting the family name. Like, we're hard workers," and I'm like, "Yo, I'm working at 12 years old."
Parents say the crazy. I mean, it's a factory. You're ruining our name at this bar.
Yeah.
Carrying trash out of it.
Yeah.
Can you not bring our family name down? I mean, you're running around in a dumpster, and they won't let you do it anymore.
That was
crazy.
I mean, that was like my first. I got fired. It was the only job I've ever been fired from. I've been laid off, but that was the first one I got fired from.
How was your boss?
For that one?
At that job, yeah.
He was just like this old dude who was like, "Let me show you how to sweep." You know? Yeah.
That's so funny, dude. Let me show you how to sweep, man. It's real sweet.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I've been doing sweeping for a long time. I'm really into it.
You want to do the garbage, kid? You work hard enough one day.
Let me tell you, it gets to be pretty fun.
Yeah, it was like this big empty warehouse. I don't know. Do you remember Rec Specs? You know, like the Horace Grant, like goggles that he played basketball in?
Yeah.
That's what they made them.
Oh, wow.
That's what it was. It was in Newark. And I eventually got my job back. Like, I begged for my job back because my mother was just being so hard on me about it. Yeah. And they let me do flat boxes. So, like, you get the boxes are flat, you fold them. I did not.
In a box?
But, dude, I gave myself so many cardboard cutouts, like so many cardboard paper cuts that I would wrap it with tape. And, like, the teachers at school thought I was being, like, abused at home.
Oh, wow.
It was like this whole thing.
Like, no, I got a job.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I got to go to work after this. I'm smoking a cigarette.
Old lady's on my back. Yeah. Old lady's just your mom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The old ball and chain. Is that cool to say about my mom?
Cool. She doesn't want me to work, and I got to.
She's really riding my spine.
won't let up.
How's the husband, Toots?
Yeah. She's like,
yeah.
all I care about is that you know that Irish people don't drink.
Exactly.
Okay?
Please.
It's the only thing I care about.
Please, we've never drank before in our lives.
And so you just got all these cuts on your hands, and then you stayed there for a while?
I did. I stayed there for like 4 years. Well, here's what I did, right? So, like, I ponied up a little bit
I
to
just
the
checked to see how many fingers you had.
Yeah, and I kept them all. But I didn't work in the factory part for long. I ponied up to the marketing department.
Oh, that's great.
Because I noticed, like, the factory part had no air conditioning and the other part did. All the people I worked with were like, "Yo, I do graffiti too." I was doing a lot of graffiti at the time. Yeah. And they're like wearing like sweats and jeans to work, and we're sweating in this factory. And all the people wearing suits were like, "Graffiti, that's vandalism." And I'm like, "Yo, I need to be like these motherfuckers."
Yeah.
They're going home in Mercedes.
Right.
All these other motherfuckers who I lived near are driving or taking the bus back. Like, I need to be a Mercedes motherfucker, not a bus motherfucker, right? So I was like, yo, I'm gonna go work in the marketing department. So I just sprung a conversation up with the guy, the head of the marketing department one day while he was outside smoking cigarettes. I was like, hey, what do you do? He's like, marketing. I'm like, that's what I'm going to college for marketing. Yeah. I'm like 13. Yeah. I'm not even in high school yet.
People just like at you like college.
Yeah. And they're like, college. And he was like, do you want to be an intern instead of working in the factory? And I was like, yes, I do.
Oh, wow.
And they still paid me. They paid me the whole time, and I got to learn like how to do marketing. Amazing. Yeah, it was awesome.
Of course, you're 13. They're like, I'm doing something for this kid.
Yeah, and they let me pick people up from the airport. I didn't even have a license.
Wow.
It was dumb. Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, dude, it was great.
They just go, all right, man, if you want to take this company out for drinks, dinner, and to the strip club afterwards, and you're like, I'm 12, no problem.
Do me a favor, Steve's coming in from New Orleans. Make sure he gets a couple hand jobs for the end of the night.
It's a very Home Alone 2 situation, lost in New York, except instead of just staying at the Plaza Hotel alone, you're just taking out clients.
Yeah. I picked somebody up at the airport, and they were like, how old are you, man? I'm like, I'm 14, 17.
Yeah.
And I looked like a child without the beard. I looked like even younger then. I must have looked like an 8-year-old just driving a car. Are you allowed
to be in this car? You're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. You're sitting on, like Yellow Pages, dude. I got to reach the steering wheel.
Yeah. You have a stick tied to the bottom of your shoe. What are you doing? You can't reach the radio now.
Oh, the first time they had me drive the car, I was driving the van, and I pull up, I windows down, music blaring. I got my arm out. I did everything I saw other people do while driving, like had my hand out the window, and I pull up next to someone at a red light, and there's smoke everywhere.
Oh, that's great.
And I look at the guy, and go, dude, something's wrong with your car. And he looks at me, he goes, no, it's and It's like a green light. So I take off. Yo, I get to my stop and I realize the emergency brake had been on
The whole
the whole time.
Your car just smoking out the back.
I'm just driving
Yeah.
with like smoke billowing out of this
Yeah.
car. The engine's just revving. I'm just driving
Like, this is
through an
weird.
e-brake.
Yeah. You still haven't shaved yet? Like, man, there's a lot of smoke. Anyway, strip club's a couple blocks away.
Imagine
Hang
a
out.
12-year-old
Yeah.
just pulls up next to you. His
Like,
van is just smoking.
doesn't
And he's
know what
like,
he's doing.
something's wrong with your car, dude. You're like, no, man, it's you. And you're a child.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be driving.
At all.
It was the best. I made a left on a red
You
light.
got pulled over?
No, I did. I
So
made a
good.
left on a red light.
Yeah.
But the thing said no turn on red until 4. It was 4:01. I bang a left
Yeah.
at a red light. A cop pulls me over and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "No, it's after 4. I can turn." He goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, right hand turns, you fucking idiot."
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? You can't make a left.
Not a left. Yo, you just turned into oncoming traffic.
The cop's like, I want to arrest you, but this is too hilarious.
Yeah.
Continue driving.
You're too
please.
cute. Yeah.
This is too cute. It's an 11-year-old driving a car.
But he goes, "All right, be safe out there." He just took off. He
Yeah.
didn't give me a ticket, nothing. Didn't ask me for ID.
yeah. You're like, I'm an intern over at the corporation.
Yeah,
down there.
the corporation.
money, yeah.
I don't say which one.
Yeah.
Over at the factory.
I'm moving my way up. I ponied up from,
Yeah.
from the floor.
So here's what I did. Lied to them, told them I'm in
You're driving.
marketing.
You're like, I fell asleep on pallets. I fell asleep on pallets, and now I'm driving the car.
But do you think this is bad? You should have seen Old Pallet
I'm
Day.
taking clients out to the strip club and a steakhouse. Life has really gotten better for me.
I started masturbating weeks ago.
Yeah, man, you just become the vice president of the company. You're like, what's going on? Like, I'm gonna take us to the top, boys, to the top.
Yeah. Does anyone know how to take this e-brake off this van?
Alexis, you've done so well for this company, but all the e-brakes are on all the cars. You've destroyed our automobile fleet. It's
Yeah, the fleet
hilarious.
is gone.
Yeah.
That's a true story, man. I don't think
that's
I didn't
an amazing
remember
story.
that until right now.
That's really
Jesus,
great, man.
yeah.
Thank you for telling me that.
Exclusive. What's
all
this
right.
podcast called again?
Case of the Mondays. Yeah, that's
Case
good.
of the
that's
Mondays.
That's a great. That's what you want to happen every day.
Yeah.
It's not a Monday.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. That's all amazing.
Yeah.
You just can't help but win sometimes when you're a kid. You know, you're just good at stuff.
Shit just happened. I'm one of those people
happens
too.
in
Like,
a way, yeah.
hasn't happened in comedy, but it seems like things just work out for me
Right,
everywhere
right.
else.
Oh, that's great. I used to have that when I was younger. But now, man, I don't know. It's rough when you do, because when you're a kid, you're like, I didn't study for the test, I got it, and then I just get like
Ace
an
it.
85,
Yeah.
and someone would be like, how the hell did you do that? And I'd be like, and then I just walk away. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I still don't fucking
I still
know.
don't know. I just
I
got
remember
lucky.
senior year when we first came in. Did they ever make you read books in the summer?
Yeah.
Dude, I had to read Malcolm X.
Oh, that sucks.
And I'm like, I'm not reading that, right? That was the one that was like I got. So all I did was I went upstairs to my attic and I got a piece of corkboard and I just drew a big X with, you know, the judgment scales,
hilarious,
and
yeah.
I put black and white and I put it even. And at the bottom I flipped the book until I saw something in italic and it was a quote and I just wrote that on the bottom. I didn't even read the quote. I dead ass. And I was a good artist, so like it was nice. So I brought it in. Lady points and says 92. Like she gave me
great.
92 as a grade. And I saw the person above me, this dude Sloan. He got an 86. He made an entire diorama of The Great Gatsby. He did the whole thing with
Yeah.
like action figures and moss for grass.
Wow.
It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It took him weeks. I did that the night before school. And I got a better
Wow.
grade.
I miss dioramas. That'd be great. if you had
How
to make
great
one
is
of-
that?
They were fun.
It was 3D,
My
dude.
dad did them for me. Come on.
Oh,
I didn't do
look
any
at
of
you.
them.
Look at you flexing that you had a dad.
I know. I was gonna ask. I remember.
I said I worked at a factory at 11. No, I didn't have a dad.
Are you telling me you work at a factory at 11 without a father? I think that doesn't happen.
You either have an alcoholic dad or no dad. Those are the only two. And I had both.
Alcoholic and no dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad used to do the dioramas for me. He'd be like, "What is this?" And he'd be like, "A project." And he'd be like, I go watch TV.
Yeah,
And
get
then
out of
I'd
the
come
way.
back, and
His hair.
I'd be like, "What'd you get?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, like an 80." And he's like,
I'm
"That's
calling
it?"
your teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's like, "Let me talk to your teacher. This is worth more than an 80." Anyway, man, this was great. Thanks so much for doing this. This is fun.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I hung out.
Tell people where they can find you.
At Soccer Cooligans, if you want to listen to two hilarious comedians talk about soccer eventually. It's just a really funny podcast. We have a great fan base. We travel over the country doing shows. And me is at Not Alexis, Notalexis.
And you can find me at Kase Rosso on all social media. And if you have any stories about the worst we were fucked up, hit us up at Ofthemondays@gmail.com. Maybe we'll read them on the air. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Bye.